Good morning, my friends. I want to kind of answer a big question here today. One of the most frequent questions I get working with folks is, have you seen my set of symptoms before? Have you seen it expressed like this before? And I want to answer that fully. I've worked with, I would guess, about 400 people in the last 4 years. Personally, I've seen a lot of different expressions, and I've had the opportunity to walk with a few people all the way from the beginning to the end of their recovery. And I can tell you that I have never seen two people with the exact same, or even a very similar, expression of symptoms or set of symptoms. That's really uncommon. Limbic system impairment is a brain impairment. It has much more to do, and really only to do, with the brain pattern of having a trigger, which may be a sensation itself. It may be the symptom itself, or it may be something else, that starts off a spiral of a really intense emotion like fear or rage or frustration or resentment or anger or despair, that then intensifies the stress chemistry. It creates more stress chemistry, which intensifies the symptom or the reaction, and around and around and around you go, and it just continues to get worse unless it's interrupted. It doesn't matter how severe or mild that loop is, and it doesn't matter what the symptom is or what the emotion is or how it's expressing, or whether it's the symptom itself that's a trigger, or there's something in your environment that's the trigger, or whether it's something that's continuous and constant 24/7, or whether it's sporadic. None of that is relevant. It's simply that cycle, that pattern. It's just brain patterns, and generally feeling that really intense negative emotion being cross-wired with a symptom or an experience. That's it. So that's the first thing, is know that almost nobody has the same profile symptom. And I was thinking about this one time, I've got a couple clients who have walked from early stage to later stage recovery, and thinking, I actually stepped back because I don't really think in terms of symptoms or even talk to my clients about symptoms all that much. But I was thinking about the profiles of a couple of my clients and comparing them in my mind, and realizing that there is they do not look like the same category of things if you look at it from a symptom level, which is part of the reason we don't pay attention to symptoms and what they are, because they're not telling of really what the solution is or whether or not this is limbic. So I just want to share that story with you. The other thing is to realize that brain rewiring, this is really key. If you're still with me, listen closely. This is huge. Brain rewiring is a pioneering part of science and healing at this point in time. It's very new. DNRS, which is what I did, I think it was created in 2007, 15, I guess 16 years ago now. Very, very new when it comes to the healing industry, let's say, or the healing field. People believe the world is flat for a long time. That didn't make it flat. A lot of folks come to me with a lot of doubt around this, and it's just because it's new doesn't mean it's not true. And okay, this is the other thing that's huge in this. Guys, seriously, if you want to heal, realize that this is your brain. No one else is in your brain except you. It doesn't matter whether your mom or your sister or your siblings or anybody else who has the set of symptoms you have. You have a choice. They have a choice. You can choose to take a different route. You are the only person in charge of what happens inside of you. And by definition, because this is a bit of a pioneering thing, there's a really high chance you're not going to find someone else who's done what you're trying to do with your specific set of symptoms yet. There's a really big chance of that. This is innately an experiment of a certain type. So that doesn't mean you can't do it. It doesn't mean what you're experiencing isn't limbic. Look more at the pattern I described earlier and do your research, study a program, see if your experience, not your specific symptoms, but your experience fits in that paradigm and makes sense with it. That's what you want to look for. But realize too that, again, you get to decide. Epigenetics is huge. Genetics is a big thing people bring up. So you really do have the power to decide what genes turn on and off. That's a big deal. And ultimately, you decide what you believe is possible, which means you decide which course of action you're willing to even try. And your brain is always going to look for evidence of what you already believe. If you're always looking for evidence that your situation is unresolvable, you're going to find it. If you look for evidence and you choose to believe that you can do something about this, that you can change this, that you can heal, that you can find a much higher quality of health in life, you're going to find evidence for that, and you're going to find a way forward. Please keep that in mind.